And it is the green flag and the race for the first turn, and it is Sullivan who has it. And little Al jumps in right behind him.
One car locked up their brakes, but they've got through there clearly. I think we're okay.
It is Sullivan, little Al Unser, and Mario Andretti, the first three, as they now begin to string out as they'll go down Lakeshore Boulevard. That's the longest stretch, 6/10 of a mile.
And look at this, there's an attempt to be passed here, but Sullivan's not having it. Young Al came alongside there, and Danny in traffic just closed the door. It does seem to me, on the long back stretch, which is a 175-mile-an-hour stretch, and it looks very close to me. I think the young man is going to pass Danny Sullivan. And Al Unser Jr. just behind. And a car stopped on the left-hand side. Yellow flags going, and Danny Sullivan. And Danny Sullivan, there's the pass, because Danny Sullivan came off the power there with those yellow flags being waved. Al Unser Jr. is taking advantage. He does a rip-off there, takes a lens off his visor, and he's now in the lead.
This is Toronto Indy with Al Unser Jr. leading. Danny Sullivan is second, followed by Michael Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Bobby Rahal. And a couple of times that little Al has come up behind him. Big Al has not given, he hasn't stepped to the side at all. In fact, little Al has made the statement that my dad taught me everything that I know, but he hasn't taught me everything that he knows. He's really running well, isn't he?
Yes, he's grown to be a very mature driver at a very young age. I'm very impressed by Al Jr. I think he could really be a serious racing driver in the long term. I would love to see him come over and drive in the Grand Prix season, though. I'd just love to see him do that. I think it would help. And look at that.
Gary Gerald is now in little Al's pit.
Charlie, it's interesting down here that one of the things that's most watched is a little monitor on the back of actually underneath the fuel tank, where they have a chance to see the onboard camera. And the crew from time to time has been peering intently in here, and we got the feeling they were trying to check on something specifically. And what they're trying to do is determine what kind of RPMs that he is pulling as he goes around this course.
And he has truly been a dominating factor here in Toronto. Little Al Unser Jr. coming now to take the white flag. There it is. From Nick Finoro, the starter. His assistant is Terry Walsh, and we have one lap to go.
Now he is not going to make any mistakes. He's going to stay well away from all the walls. He's not going to miss any gear shifts. He now has to work out how far away he is from the finishing line so that he can even coast home if necessary. That's what's going on in his mind. Let's not make any mistakes. Let's get round the obstacles such as that still parked racing car round the stadium. Being very quiet in his transmission, being very quiet in his gas pedal, not overdoing the brakes on this one. This will not be a fast lap. Danny Sullivan, on the other hand, can't afford to let up, because if something were to go wrong with Al Unser Jr., he wants to be able to eat up the road. So his final lap will undoubtedly be faster than Al's.
And little Al still comfortably with the lead over Danny Sullivan, and he comes into exhibition curve and heads for the start-finish line. There it is, the checkered flag for little Al.
And the crowd are enthusiastic. They think he's driven a good race, and they are right.
Well, Charlie, here's the man of the hour, second one of the year. Long Beach was the first tough duty today. It's hot, you worked hard, you're obviously very, very happy. You always are in victory lane.
Very much so. I tell you, I just, first off, I want to say hi to little Al and Cody back home, and I wish you were here, bud. And the car just did super, you know. Really, I got to thank the guys, because we had the best pit stops of the season, I think, and we didn't spend any time at all in pit lane, and the guys have been really working hard at home practicing because of our foul ups at Long Beach and Portland, and I tell you what, they whipped out some super ones, and the car's just doing great. You know, I want to just thank Stroh and Valvoline and Chevrolet. I had a super engine today, and Bosch and Ray Kim and everybody. Without without their support, we wouldn't be here. So
Big Springs, Texas, early in the week, 3 days, 800 miles of testing. That really pumped everybody up, according to Rick Gallis.
yeah, it was 112 down there too. It was really hot, and it showed. You know, the testing showed we needed to get the car working because of what we did at Long Beach. I think we were a little bit ahead of everybody, and then they caught up. And the CART PPG IndyCar World Series is so competitive right now that you slack off just a tiny bit, and 5 guys are gonna beat you. So
you're now second in points, chasing Sullivan. You make a big jump this week with this victory today.
yeah, it's great. You know, we still got a long ways to go, Gary, but we, you know, second in points. It's starting to show, I think, who's running up front. You know, we're approaching halfway or just got through halfway, and it's starting to show which of the guys are going to be there to beat. So
nice way to roll into the Meadowlands just next week. Really not much time to savor this one. They're going to keep you busy.
You bet. You know, I was thinking that actually as I rolled off the last 5 laps, you know, about I knew the car was going to hold together because and he's super mechanic, and I was just thinking, well, we got to go repeat this at Meadowlands.
All right, let's get a word with Shelley. Shelley, how are your nerves holding up here? You're expecting your 3rd child. You're down here working in the pits. The grin is ear to ear. Looks like you're hanging in pretty good.
I'm hanging in fine. I just was so excited. I was just so worried all the penalties that they were giving. I was afraid he was going to do the same thing, and I kept saying, Al, stay under the yellow line. Don't put your tires over.
Well, he managed to do that. Owen Snyder and the crew chief, they're all down here. They're all celebrating, and I think this party's just beginning, Charlie Jones.